Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Cassiday, the Clinical Director at the Anxiety Treatment Center of Greater Chicago. And it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Dustin Siegel, one of my terrific staff. And Dustin is one of our specialists in working with adults. And he really enjoys working with young adults. So I'd love to hear, what is it that's so fun about working with young adults?
I really enjoy having someone come into my office who feels stuck. I think a lot of the times people are beginning treatment and they feel overwhelmed, they feel anxious. I think sometimes at their worst, they feel broken. One of the fun parts about therapy in general is helping a person to understand that it's not them who's broken, it's the strategies that they're using. Once people start to get a sense of what strategies are out there and the different ways to respond to anxiety, there's a lot of progress that can be made. And often there's a lot of progress that can be made really quickly. It's just fun, it's exciting, it's interesting to watch the changes that a person can make from the beginning to the end of treatment. And it's really cool when that happens as quickly as it does in CBT.
Absolutely. I love that too. Now, when you have someone in your office, what would be the best advice you could give them about handling anxiety?
Easily the best advice that I could give to anybody, whether they're a client of mine or not, is to do something on a regular basis that puts you outside of your comfort zone. Our comfort zone is there for a reason. It's helpful. It's good to know where our boundaries are. But at the same time, going outside your comfort zone on a regular basis, doing something every single day that feels scary or challenging, isn't even necessarily about the end result that you get from that one experience. It's about putting yourself in a position where you're doing that regularly. There are so many times in life where we need to feel comfortable, or at least where we need to be willing to step outside of our comfort zone. And getting in the habit of doing that regularly makes it easier for us to do it in those moments where we really need to.
Absolutely. It really does. I love that advice. It's one that I apply to myself. Now, I'm curious, what do you think are some of the biggest obstacle that people encounter that keeps them from coming in and getting the treatment they need?
I think that one of the biggest obstacles is kind of going back to what I said earlier, that people feel stuck. We tend to feel overwhelmed by the problems in our life, and there are so many options out there that it's easy to just get in a rut of thinking, well, I'll address it tomorrow. If you feel stuck, the best thing you can do is to make a change. Therapy is one of the great changes that exist, and there are a lot of different options. There are books, there are video series, there's a ton out there, but a lot of times those are changes that are hard to understand and apply to yourself. And therapy is a great way of making sense of what the options are, making sense of what the other strategies are, making sense of how do I take these things that I keep hearing and reading about and learning about and apply them to me and apply them to my life.
Yeah. And one thing that you need to know about Dustin is he does have a superpower. He is an expert at working with tics and Tourette syndrome, and he really enjoys it. So I'd love to hear, what is it that you find so fun about the tic disorders that most people find really frustrating?
So at ATC, we use a program called Comprehensive Behavioral Intervention for Tics, or CBIT. And CBIT is a way of being able to have different relationship with those same urges that come up with tics. It's an option that exists for people of all ages. I mean, really about 8 on up tends to be the age range that it's going to be more successful with. But it helps people to have a different response, literally a physically different response. We come up with something called competing responses to help people respond differently to the tics that show up. It's a great option for people who have, tried medication and been frustrated with the results, or who aren't feeling that comfortable with medication. For people who have been in treatment for tics or Tourette's for a long time, or people who have never seen a therapist for before, it is a great tool that every person with tics could really benefit from being able to learn from.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for talking with me, Dustin. And if people want to get a hold of you, what number should they call?
My office number is 877-559-0001, and I am extension 58.
Thank you, Dustin. Bye-bye.